I've loved grilling for a long time. Ever since I was in grad school, I got a gas grill and a charcoal grill, and would grill meats, largely because as a grad student you're spending a lot of time reading, and my wife would be at work, and I could actually have dinner ready in a nice way when she would come home. But during the pandemic, when COVID hit, I was at home all day and teaching people over Zoom, and realized that I could very easily sit there prepping my classes or in between Zoom calls and attend to a fire. So I started smoking meats, and I got some briskets and some pork butts, and at that time all I had was my Weber kettle grill, and so I would use charcoal with wood chunks on top of the charcoal, and you can line the Weber kettle grill with charcoal in a sort of circle rather than a pile in the middle. If you circle it around, then your fire will burn at a fairly low rate and over hours move around the circle. And so you can have your meat in the middle there smoking and cooking at, say, 170 degrees, 220 degrees. And but I moved up from there. After the pandemic ended, I got a real smoker. I use a Weber Smoky Mountain, and I got that because we're in Michigan and I like to smoke for most of the year, and so the Weber Smoky Mountain is a good grill because it's sort of weather resistant. So I could go out on a rainy day, on a foggy day, or even in the snow, and actually smoke meats there. I smoke all sorts of meats. I like to do briskets and pork butts, but I also like to do ribs and chickens, and even for a couple Thanksgivings in a row, I've done a turkey and smoked turkey on hickory. Oh, it's just lovely, and it actually doesn't dry out too badly because with smoking you want to go low and slow, and so the turkey stays fairly moist, and it takes on a lovely color with the smoke. Every chunk of meat, especially when you're dealing with something like a brisket, it has its own personality. It's temperamental. There's no rigidity to it. There are a lot of scientific elements you bring into the temperature and control of the heat, but ultimately this piece of meat is done when it's done. And so you do have to baby it, and you have to, I think smoking it is for those sort of persnickety, detail-oriented sorts of people who actually like fussing over the finer points. This is not to dissuade you from trying, even if that's not your character. I think I love it. It's so rewarding because you put all this time into it, and it's you're introducing meat and fire in different ways. But at the end of the day, you have this delicious meal, and the kids are happy, the wife's happy, and it's a great hobby to have. We have a lot of little children, and so moving them around requires different sorts of strollers. If you're going to go, say, to a museum, you want a certain sort of stroller. If you want to go on a run, that's a very different sort of stroller. And so my wife and I have sort of joked because she has, I think, 4 different types of strollers in our garage, and I, of course, have these 4 different grills. And so as we talk about it, we'll go back and forth. Well, if you want that new jogging stroller, can I get this new smoker? It'd be fun to get that. Can do some things with meat that I can't do right now. So we do have a sort of give and take. I collect grills, she collects strollers. It's sort of a competition. Don't be intimidated by all the details of, say, trimming the brisket perfectly. You can get better and better at that over time. Say with your first brisket, really just give it a basic trim, and then salt and pepper, and then throw it on the grill and keep your temperature low and slow. It might take you 16, 18 hours. Check your temperature regularly, and you'll be amazed at what you produce just doing that. Just the piece of meat trimmed of the excess fat, salt and pepper, and then low and slow. Especially with some turkeys and some leaner meats, I'll do injections or constant basting, but you can leave the brisket alone and just go low and slow. You don't have to worry about anything else other than making sure you're following the temperature and keeping the temperature steady in there. I do pork butts more often. That's the shoulder of the pig, and it's a dirt cheap piece of meat, and it smokes beautifully, and it just falls apart. It's wonderful. But the brisket is the king. I'm actually the faculty advisor for a newly formed Texas Student Club. And it's not just, it's sort of celebrating Texas. And I'm not a native Texan, though I did go to school in Texas, but they heard me talking about smoking meats. And they said, well, if you do all this barbecue, then can you be our faculty advisor? And I thought, sure, if I can be an honorary Texan, I'll take it.